All right, I'm going to be talking about how to get started as a dog trainer. Currently, I work as an instructor at a dog training school, and I've been talking about this specific topic for the past several years now, 2014 to be exact. And how to get started as a dog trainer. Obviously, there's a few routes that I'm going to cover here in this short video. Naturally, I do teach people how to become dog trainers, and I myself am the product, so to speak, of two dog training schools. So the first dog training school I went to, this was back in 2009. This is when I was just transitioning out of the Coast Guard. I was on terminal leave, and this allowed me to go to this dog training school, which at the time the school didn't take the GI Bill. Now they do, but having the terminal leave allowed me to go to the school while at the same time getting paid for being on terminal leave. So it was a nice, smooth transition. I did have to get a loan for the school, but it was my introduction into the dog world. And, after that, I got started in the industry, worked for a few years. Then I did additional research and then went to another dog training school, which I currently teach at right now. So I'm myself am a bit partial to dog training schools. I know they're not the only way to get started. I know there are dog trainers that never step in a dog training school and they do quite well. I mean, there are authorities in the industry, that are leaving their mark on in the industry. I mean, big names. Some of them have never stepped in a dog training school, and there are also some dog trainers that are also authorities in their field who did get started at a dog training school. So you could be successful with or without by starting with any of the other options that you have available. It's just one particular way. So I'm going to cover the dog training school. This is the one that I feel a little bit more comfortable with, a little bit more familiar with. And what I particularly like about dog training schools is the structure that they give you. There is not a whole lot of guesswork. You just go, they give you the curriculum, you follow the curriculum, you keep up, you stay with the program, and then you just kind of learn a particular system. Now, those are definitely the pros of going to a dog training school. There are people that never go to a dog training school and they just kind of do all of that on their own. They learn on their own. They go through seminars. I do like the just pretty much here's the system, you have to learn it approach that dog training schools have. The first dog training school I went to was great to teach me what I needed to learn at the time. The second dog training school was just great because it filled in a lot of the gaps that I had in my experience and my knowledge, which really made a huge difference in my ability to work with dogs. So that's the thing with dog training schools. Now the thing about dog training schools is not every dog training school is a good dog training school. There are several dog training schools. There's several dog training programs, and there are a few dog training schools that are very well known. There is one particular dog training school that has a nice ring to it, has a nice name to it, and a lot of my friends who have gone to that school, they don't particularly have the nicest thing to say about the school. I hear the same complaints over and over and over about the school. I've had people reach out to me that have told me, dude, I went to this school, and it's the school that I'm talking about right now, and they were like, it was just terrible. Like only learned like maybe this one or two things, but the rest was just chaos. There's no organization, no structure, and I've gotten this very similar feedback about this particular school. Why I'm not going to mention it, obviously I've never been to that school, so I'm not going to tell you, yeah, the school is trash. But the thing about dog training schools too is they have the ability to change. So I can't endorse nor bash a particular dog training school because a dog training program that is excellent right now might be terrible a few years from now. If there is a school or a dog training program that is terrible right now, might actually be great a few years from now. I've seen this happen with a particular dog training school. Again, I'm not going to say names, but I've heard of the leadership, the instructors changing back and forth, and it's gone from very well known doctrine school to now people are just dropping out. People are not having as much interest. You might know what school I'm talking about, and and that's just what happens, right? The leadership, the instructors, the structure can change, and that alone can make it so that this school is not good. So even if I tell you need to go to this school and this school and this school, that might change a few years from now, or even a few months from now. If I tell you, hey, do not go to this school because I hear nothing but bad things about the school, that might also change a few years from now or a few months from now. So you need to do your research. First doctorate school I went to, I was brand new, so I did some research, but not as much as maybe I should have because obviously I wasn't in the doctoring industry, but I did my research. I did talk to the school. I did talk to a couple of other programs. So I did enough research. I didn't just dive in blind. Second doctoring school, I did a lot of research. So what I did and what I recommend doing if you're not sure is contact a few doctoring schools, and you have to realize that when you contact them, they're going to tell you all the wonderful things about the school. Naturally, they're trying to get you as a client. So they're going to tell you that their school is the best. My suggestion is try to find people who went to the school. I actually have a whole chapter on this in my book, Info Every Dog Trainer Should Know. But really, you want to talk to different people that have gone to the school. Don't ever talk to somebody that's never been to the school. Talk to somebody who has been to the school. Maybe talk to a few people who have been to the school and get their input, get their feedback as far as whether this is the right school or not. Because if you call the school, they're going to tell you all the wonderful things, which is not a bad thing at all. But you need to kind of take it with a grain of salt and maybe talk to some graduates of that program. Now, the other way to get started is through apprenticeships or internships. So you can go to a couple of dog trainers in your area and say, hey, I would love to, learn. I'll start by, doing very basic stuff. If I'm going to clean your kennels, I'll clean your kennels. And I just want to be exposed to this. Let me sign your paperwork. You don't even have to pay me. I just want to get as much exposure as I possibly can. That may sound like it's free labor, and people that have a really shitty attitude in life might say, well, I'm not working for free. But I don't see that as working for free at all. I see it as a great opportunity to get exposed. Even if you tell that person, I just want to clean your kennels, just let me clean your kennels. I would even suggest starting that way, because that will give you a pretty good idea whether this is the industry for you. You don't want to spend a lot of time, energy, and effort into this school or an industry to find out later that you don't like getting covered in piss and shit and dog spit all over you. Because even as a dog trainer, you're still going to deal with that. So start out that way, and and maybe get some exposure, and then get like a mutually beneficial agreement where you get to learn from this trainer, but also you get to provide some services. And that would be a great way to kind of get started. You have to keep in mind, though, you're learning from one trainer. You're going to learn that trainer's preferred method of training, which, there are so many ways to train out there that you don't always want to be confined to one particular level, to one particular style. This is especially the case if the trainer happens to be a little bit close-minded, or if the trainer, which you wouldn't know any different if you're not, if you're kind of new at this, you really wouldn't know. But maybe getting a couple of apprenticeships might really help you out. I know trainers that have done that. One of the main instructors, main trainers at the first dog training school I went to, that's exactly what he did. Years ago, he approached the school. He told the owner, "Hey, I'm willing to work for free. I just want to learn how to work with these dogs." And he put in his time. He put in the effort, and eventually became part of the staff, and now he's one of the lead instructors and trainers at that school. So definitely a great way to get started. Another way to get started is obviously kind of by yourself, which is you could read the books, you could attend the seminars, you could train the dogs, you could volunteer, you could get your experience that way. And on your own, you can kind of develop, self-explore, experiment, and learn as much as you can, um, you know, kind of by yourself and with the help of the dogs and with some assistance from articles, books, videos. That can definitely be a little bit of a longer route because you don't have as much direction, you don't have as much mentorship, and so that might be a little bit longer, but it's still nonetheless, it's still very possible, very doable. So those are mainly the different ways to get started in the industry. Dog training school, which can definitely put you in a little bit of debt unless you're a veteran. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a handful of schools out there that do take the GI Bill. So if you do have that benefit, or if you have voc rehab benefits, huge benefit for you. But if you don't have that, you might have to take out a loan, which I know people that do that. I did it for the first dog training school I went to because they didn't take the GI Bill, and I thought it was worth it. It definitely more than paid for itself just after a couple of years, or even less than that. So that's one way. Another way is do an apprenticeship, an internship, learn it that way. The other way is to just battle it yourself. Go through the seminars, read the books, watch the videos, experiment, and learn it that way. So that's another way to do it. Oh, the one note that I'm going to add is if you're going to do a lot of seminars, which can be very expensive, you might as well go to a dog training school. You just have to make sure you do your research on the dog training school because some are not as good as they look on paper.